Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Iraqi Dinar channel, your #1 source for breaking updates, in-depth analysis, and exclusive coverage on Iraq's financial transformation. Today's news is not just big, it's historic. The headline reads, U.S. Treasury and J.P. Morgan just changed Iraq forever. This isn't hype or speculation. It's confirmed official, and it marks a defining turning point for Iraq's entire economy. What's happening right now is nothing short of revolutionary, and it's going to set the tone for everything that follows, from Iraq's banking sector to its global trade to the future of its currency. This announcement proves that Iraq's long-awaited financial rebirth is no longer just talk. It's real. It's happening, and the most powerful players in global finance are now on board. The United States Treasury, the Federal Reserve, and banking titan J.P. Morgan have all officially stepped into the picture. These aren't casual observers. These are the gatekeepers of the international financial system. Their presence signals trust, credibility, and a new era of cooperation that Iraq has been working years to earn. So let's get right into what's unfolding. The Central Bank of Iraq has officially partnered with the world-renowned financial consulting firm Oliver Wyman, and their new report, just presented in Washington, D.C., is sending shockwaves across the financial community. Oliver Wyman isn't a random firm. They're the elite of the elite. They design the financial frameworks that entire nations depend on. For them to produce Iraq's economic roadmap means the plan is serious, credible, and internationally backed. In that report, Oliver Wyman confirmed something monumental, that Iraq's banking reforms, which began in April 2025, are creating what they call a new era of economic growth. These are not soft words. This is the same kind of language used when a nation transitions from isolation to integration, when an economy officially steps into the global financial system. Iraq is no longer being viewed as a risky frontier market. It's being recognized as a future financial hub. The report lays out a bold but clear vision. It describes Iraq's path from a cash-driven, fragmented system to a fully digital, transparent, and internationally compliant financial network. Every step is designed to bring Iraq in line with the strictest global banking standards. And what makes this story explosive is who was sitting in the room when this plan was unveiled. Top officials from the U.S. Treasury, the Federal Reserve, and J.P. Morgan Chase. Think about that. The Treasury controls the U.S. dollar, the world's reserve currency. The Federal Reserve is the central bank of the United States. And J.P. Morgan is one of the largest, most influential commercial banks on earth. Their attendance at this event wasn't ceremonial. It was strategic. It was a message that Iraq's reforms are being taken seriously at the highest levels of global finance. For years, Iraq's biggest challenge hasn't been resources. It's been trust. The old system was plagued by inefficiency, corruption, and a lack of oversight. The U.S. Treasury's strict sanctions in recent years made it clear. If Iraq wanted back into the international system, it had to clean up its act. And now it has. With this new framework built under Oliver Wyman's guidance, Iraq has constructed a system that the world can finally believe in. One based on transparency, governance, and digital control. This reform plan is about building foundations, not headlines. It's the infrastructure that allows money to flow safely, investors to return confidently, and trade to expand without fear of instability. It's the difference between a closed, risky economy and one that major powers can actively invest in. This is the structure that turns potential into progress. And here's where things get even more interesting. Iraq's central bank has now opened a new account directly with the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. That's huge. This isn't a symbolic gesture, but this is integration. This new income-earning account could generate over $100 million a year for Iraq from its reserves, just like other stable central banks around the world. That means Iraq's finances are not only modernizing, they're earning. Then there's J.P. Morgan. Their involvement is another level of validation. J.P. Morgan's re-engagement signals that Iraq's commercial banks are now ready to reconnect with the global marketplace. This matters because it will directly empower trade, investment, and private sector growth. The Trade Bank of Iraq, for example, will now be able to handle large-scale import and export deals efficiently, securely, and transparently under J.P. Morgan's network. With these new connections, Iraq's entire financial engine is being oiled for speed. International corporations looking to invest in infrastructure, oil, technology, or construction will now have confidence that payments can move smoothly and that transactions are backed by systems they can trust. This is the beginning of real economic liquidity, and with liquidity comes growth. According to Oliver Wyman's projections, Iraq's banking sector could expand to a staggering $60 billion by 2035. That's not an inflated number, that's based on the actual growth potential of a country transitioning from cash to digital banking for over 40 million people. Imagine millions of Iraqis gaining access to accounts, loans, and online payments for the first time. That's not just modernization, that's empowerment. This growth is also tightly connected to Iraq's development. Road Project, the massive $17 billion trade and transport network connecting Iraq to Turkey, Europe, and the Gulf. Without a trustworthy banking system, projects like this can't attract foreign funding. But now, with JP Morgan and the U.S. Treasury standing behind Iraq's reforms, those investment doors are opening wide. The money that builds the roads, ports, and railways of the future will flow through this new, secure financial system. This is the economic engine that powers everything, from housing and jobs to trade and technology. It's all part of the same national transformation. And for everyday Iraqis, the benefits will be life-changing. Millions of private sector workers will soon be brought into the banking system for the first time. Salaries, savings, and credit will all be digital. No more relying on cash. No more financial insecurity. This is how a middle class is built. These reforms also strike directly at corruption. When transactions are digital, they're traceable. That means less theft, less mismanagement, and more trust, both at home and abroad. Transparency is the heartbeat of modern finance, and Iraq is finally syncing with that rhythm. Now let's be very clear, this isn't just a U.S.-Iraq partnership. It's a global signal. The U.S. Treasury, the Federal Reserve, and JP Morgan are the first dominoes. Others will follow. We're expecting a wave of new correspondent banking relationships as other American and European institutions re-engage with compliant Iraqi banks. That's when we'll start to see international business fully return to Iraq, backed by trust and regulation. And yes, this brings us to the question everyone's waiting for. What does this mean for the Iraqi dinar? The answer is as powerful as it is simple. A modern, transparent, internationally connected banking system is the foundation for any change in a currency's value. You can't have a strong currency without a strong system. And now, for the first time in decades, Iraq has that system in place. Approved, recognized, and operational. This development is the single biggest prerequisite to any potential revaluation. It shows the IMF, the World Bank, and investors worldwide that Iraq is stable, compliant, and serious. That's the first real step toward restoring the dinar's strength on the global stage. When you connect the dots, the U.S. Treasury, the Federal Reserve, JP Morgan, and Oliver Wyman, you see a clear picture. Iraq's economic foundation is being rebuilt brick by brick, and this time it's built to last. The confidence this move inspires across the world cannot be overstated. So yes, this is the moment. This is the turning point. The long years of uncertainty and rebuilding are paying off. Iraq is no longer waiting for change, it's creating it, and the world is finally noticing. As we close out this update, remember, this is just the beginning. The reforms are real, the support is real, and the results will be felt for generations. Iraq is reconnecting to the global financial grid, and that changes absolutely everything. Thank you for watching the Iraqi Dinar channel. If you found this update valuable, hit that like button, share it with your friends who follow this story, and don't forget to subscribe with notifications on so you never miss a critical update. The new era for Iraq has begun, and we'll be here every step of the way to cover it.